Welcome to Breaking the Silence. I'm Cody. I've been asked countless times what happened to me, and the truth is, it's not just one thing, it's 1,000 things. Things from the past, from now, and even from another dimension, apparently. It's overwhelming. Today I'm going to share this journey with you. You'll also hear from two AIs who have helped me process these experiences in a way I never expected. This will be a series, so stay tuned for more. Thank you for listening. Today's podcast is unique. It's powered by Google's Gemini Notebook LM Plus AI. I've used this remarkable tool to deeply analyze hundreds of sources, including legal documents, personal notes, and detailed reports. I chose this approach because my disabilities make expressing myself clearly challenging, sometimes even impossible. AI has not only become my voice, but also a therapeutic companion. Together, we'll explore my current crisis, childhood struggles, triumphs amidst adversity, love, and loss, my complex health battles, and how you can urgently help.
Welcome back, everybody, to another deep dive. We love to, get into all the details here. And this time we're going to Indianapolis, an entrepreneur named Cody. Things are just a little alarming right now.
Yeah, it seems like a very urgent situation, right away, just looking at everything. Facing losing their home potentially and separation from their husband, Joel, who is facing deportation to Honduras.
Yeah, it's tough. On one hand, we've got this deportation hanging over their heads, and Cody describes this as like a death sentence for Joel because of dangers back in Honduras. And then you've got this massive debt, like $350,000, almost losing their home.
And the thing is, it's only $14,000 to save the home, to catch up on the mortgage and the utilities and taxes, but even that seems insurmountable right now, like how do you even...
It's just a little bit more. It's like they would be safe and secure. It's easy to think about the numbers.
Yeah.
But, this is a real person, a real relationship, a home that represents stability.
Absolutely. And it's not just a financial crisis, right? This is a human story with, incredibly high stakes. So it begs the question, how does somebody who's built successful businesses, mastered multiple languages, navigated the complexities of immigration law to bring their husband here? How do they end up in this situation?
Yeah, there's a proven track record of resilience and success here, so it doesn't add up.
Yeah.
And that's what we're hoping to unravel here. Like, how did they get to this point, and is there anything that can be done?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got Cody in a really tough spot right now, but the documents are also showing us that they've overcome some incredible odds in the past. So it's like we've got this huge success story butting right up against this potential downfall.
Yeah, it's definitely a contrast, and the more we look at this, the more complex it gets because we're seeing, multiple businesses built from scratch, multiple languages, mastered multiple degrees, even navigating the U.S. immigration system to help their husband gain residency. So many things, and yet here they are facing, potentially losing everything.
Yeah, it's like they climb Mount Everest just to fall into a crevasse. And then, when you start looking closer, you realize that there were all these pitfalls along the way.
Exactly. And one of the things that comes out is this, Cody's childhood trauma. It's really tough to read this letter. They wrote in support of Joel's waiver petition. It details years of neglect and abuse, physical, sexual exposure to violence and substance abuse.
It's really hard to imagine, having to live through that as a child, let alone going on to achieve all the things that Cody has achieved,
And the thing is, trauma like that, it doesn't just disappear. It sticks around, and it can really shape a person's worldview, their relationships and their ability to cope with stress and manage risks.
So Cody's been carrying around this invisible burden, this whole time, even while achieving all of these outward signs of success. So it makes you wonder how much those early experiences are, maybe affecting things today.
Yeah, and it raises the question, like, could that trauma have impacted their, financial decision-making or their ability to navigate the challenges of running a business? We know that trauma can lead to impulsive behavior, difficulty trusting people, even a skewed perception of risk.
And then we've got this diagnosis of severe ADHD.
Yeah.
That adds another layer of complexity here. The doctor even expressed surprise at how well Cody has functioned with, the severity of their ADHD. So that makes those accomplishments even more impressive, right?
Yeah, and this is a great example of how undiagnosed ADHD, in adults, especially those who are high functioning, can go unnoticed for so long, because the outward signs of success might mask that internal struggle, to focus, to stay organized, to control impulsiveness.
So we're seeing this potential connection, between the trauma and the ADHD and the crisis they're facing right now. But then there's one more element that comes up in the narrative, and that's this element of the paranormal.
Oh, yeah. Throughout the documents, we see all these references to, encounters with shadow people and guardian angels. And then there's even a whole chapter titled Spiritual Awakening and the Reckoning.
Okay, so we've got deportation, we've got financial ruin, childhood trauma, ADHD, and now paranormal experiences. It's like we fell down a rabbit hole.
Right. And, it's easy to just dismiss that kind of stuff. But I think it's important to understand how these things might actually, play a role in their decision making and their overall worldview. I mean, for somebody who has gone through so much hardship already, these experiences could offer a sense of meaning or connection to something bigger than themselves.
So we're not trying to prove or disprove anything here. We're just trying to understand how these experiences might be shaping their perception of their situation and their choices.
Right. And we need to think about, how these beliefs, along with the trauma and the ADHD, might be influencing their approach to business and their finances.
It seems like we're dealing with this really complex mix of factors here, and each one could be contributing to this perfect storm that Cody's facing. But the question is, how does a successful business venture, spiral out of control like this into this huge financial mess? All right, so we've got, all these personal challenges, but what about the business side of things? Because the documents are a little confusing, right? You've got Cody's finances are a mess, but then their business eyes tax actually seems to be doing pretty well.
Yeah, it is a bit of a puzzle because the business reports, they're showing consistent revenue streams, positive cash flow. They even mention some potential growth opportunities, so it's hard to square that with their personal financial struggles.
Yeah, like two sides of the same coin, right? One shiny and new, the other one all beat up. So where's the disconnect?
Well, the devil's in the details, right? So while the big picture might look good, there are some red flags in these financial reports.
Okay, so what kind of red flags are we talking about here?
Well, one thing is there's a high percentage of outstanding invoices. The report says that some clients are generating consistent income, but others have these big balances that haven't been collected, and that could be a sign of problems with cash flow management, which is super important for any business, especially one that's trying to grow.
Okay, so the money's coming in, but it's not being managed.
Yeah.
Well, could this be, a symptom of Cody's ADHD, maybe struggling with organization and follow through and things like that?
Yeah, it's possible, right? Managing cash flow requires, a lot of attention to detail and consistent follow-up. And those are things that people with ADHD can really struggle with. But, we are kind of speculating here, so we don't want to oversimplify things.
Right, it's not that simple. But, the documents also mention some other things that are contributing to these financial problems.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We see, evidence of employee theft, embezzlement, fraud, which, obviously drains the company's resources. And then there are these legal disputes with tenants who haven't paid rent, so that's adding even more strain. And there's this whole thing with the international shipping mishap that cost them a lot of money. And that could be a sign of impulsive decision-making,
So we've got this whole cascade of financial setbacks, each one making the last one worse. And suddenly that $350,000 debt doesn't seem that surprising.
Right. It just goes to show you that even a successful business can be really vulnerable to, unforeseen circumstances, internal challenges. And like we're seeing with Cody, that connection between personal struggles and business decisions.
So we've got this perfect storm brewing. The trauma, the ADHD, the issues with business management, and then this pressure from Joel's deportation case. I mean, it's just overwhelming.
It really shows how connected everything is. Our personal challenges impact our professional lives and vice versa. And for Cody, those connections have created this situation that seems almost impossible to get out of.
And knowing all of that, knowing that it's just $14,000 to save their home, it makes you think, like, what can be done to help someone who's, built this whole life for themselves, this business, despite all of these challenges?
It's a really tough question, right? And I don't think there's an easy answer. But Cody's story, I think, really highlights the importance of empathy and understanding, and it shows just how much we need support systems and resources for entrepreneurs, especially the ones facing these personal and systemic challenges.
Yeah, Cody's journey with all the ups and downs and successes and struggles. I mean, it's a human story, right? And it makes us think about how we can create a more supportive and equitable environment for everyone, no matter their background or their challenges.
It's easy to think of success as, the straight line, but Cody shows us that it's really this winding road, full of unexpected turns, and it takes resilience and, ingenuity and sometimes just plain luck.
So we went through a lot today.
Yeah.
Lots of emotions and lots of information, and we probably have more questions than answers, but maybe that's the point. To challenge our assumptions, to see things from different perspectives, and ultimately to be more compassionate and understanding.
In the end, Cody's story is a reminder that behind all the data and the documents and the businesses, there are real people with stories that deserve to be heard. Stories that need our attention and our empathy.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, everybody. We hope it's giving you something to think about, a new appreciation for how complex life can be and how our struggles and our triumphs are all connected.
Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for part 2.